The question remains whether this resurgence of physiognomy, disguised in the sleek frame of modern technology, will ultimately enhance our understanding of the human condition or lead us further into a mechanized vision of identity that strips away the subtlety and dignity of individual lives. Sir Francis Galton, a 19th-century English polymath, is remembered both for his intellectual ambition and for the troubling implications of his work. Among the many disciplines he explored was a method he referred to as anthroposcopy, which involved the observation and classification of human beings based on their physical features. Galton's version of this practice extended beyond mere curiosity. He aimed to create a systematic way of understanding human character, intelligence, and potential through external traits such as the shape of the head, the features of the face, and the structure of the body. Though the term anthroposcopy was less widely used than other labels for similar work, it became a foundation for more controversial lines of inquiry that followed. Galton approached the human body as a visual document, one he believed could be read for clues about heredity, temperament, and aptitude. He maintained that by collecting and analyzing measurements, photographs, and descriptions of physical features, he could identify patterns that pointed to the qualities of mind and moral strength within individuals. This belief led him to create composite photographs, a method by which he would overlay multiple faces of individuals belonging to the same group, such as criminals or medical patients, to produce an averaged image. His goal was to uncover physical types and thereby, in his view, essential truths about behavior and identity. He believed that these composites would help society recognize individuals predisposed to certain traits, including what he considered moral or intellectual excellence, as well as perceived degeneracy. The foundation of Galton's work was shaped by a belief in hierarchy, not only among individuals but among entire populations. He held that certain traits, including intelligence and virtue, were inherited and could be predicted or influenced through selective breeding. His observations and theories contributed to the development of a broader worldview that sought to use science to control and shape human populations according to those inherited qualities. Galton's efforts to categorize people based on appearance were not mere scientific exercises, they reflected a deep interest in using these observations to influence public policy, education, and even reproductive practices. Anthroposcopy, as Galton practiced it, was not simply the observation of people's physical traits. It was a structured and methodical process tied to measurements, comparisons, and classifications. Galton made use of tools such as calipers and scales, and he maintained detailed records of head sizes, nose shapes, and eye distances. He viewed these details as pieces of a greater puzzle, believing that if he could collect enough data, he could derive universal truths about human nature. This obsessive focus on measurement and visual comparison was rooted in his desire to bring the rigor of the natural sciences into the study of humanity. Though Galton's methods were often cloaked in the language of objectivity and scientific rigor, they were guided by subjective assumptions about what constituted superiority and inferiority. His work often blurred the line between observation and judgment, especially when applied to social groups or entire races. He believed that physical features revealed the worth of individuals and groups, and he used this belief to argue for structured societal changes. These included educational reform, marriage restrictions, and other interventions designed to encourage the propagation of what he called desirable traits. Galton's belief in visual classification led him to propose that society could be improved through observation-based selection, wherein individuals would be judged not only by their behavior but by how they looked. His work with anthroposcopy laid the groundwork for a range of practices aimed at determining who was fit to participate fully in civic life and who was not. These ideas fed into policies and beliefs that were later expanded upon by other thinkers and institutions, many of which justified discrimination and exclusion under the guise of science. Critics of Galton, both in his time and especially in the generations that followed, pointed out that his work rested on dangerous assumptions. The belief that character and potential could be determined from outward appearance ignored the complexity of human development, the influence of environment, and the role of culture. Furthermore, it encouraged a vision of society in which the worth of a person could be boiled down to measurements and images, stripping away the richness and unpredictability of human life. Galton's legacy is therefore not only scientific but deeply ethical, raising enduring questions about how knowledge is used, and for what purposes. Despite the widespread rejection of his conclusions in many modern scientific circles, Galton's influence endures. His insistence on classification, measurement, and visual analysis continues to echo in technologies and policies that seek to categorize people based on external traits. The idea that we can know someone by their appearance alone, while discredited, still finds subtle expression in certain areas of surveillance, hiring, law enforcement, and social analysis. Galton's use of anthroposcopy may seem like a relic of a misguided past, but its echoes remain present in systems that prioritize uniformity, prediction, and control. Throughout history, human beings have been drawn to the idea that the face holds secrets about who someone truly is. This belief, known as physiognomy, has lingered in the background of cultures for thousands of years. Even when dismissed or ridiculed by science, it has never fully disappeared. In fact, in recent years, it has taken on a new form, one built not on mystical insight or folk tradition, but on complex machines that measure, compare, and predict. This rebirth of physiognomy no longer relies on the human eye, but instead on the cold gaze of machines trained to find meaning in the slope of a nose or the tightness of a smile.